Okay, go. Hey, everybody. This is Dr. Daniel Amen. Sorry I'm on a little later than usual. I had a date with my wife. We went for a drive on this incredibly beautiful 10th or 11th pandemic Friday. And I got home to an article from one of our doctors about a year's worth of suicide attempts in the last 4 weeks. It was an article from the Bay Area from John Muir Hospital in Walnut Creek, which is where our Northern California clinic is. And it just is horrifying to me. I know the reason for the lockdown was so that hospitals did not get overwhelmed. Well, hospitals did not get overwhelmed. And the social isolation is literally killing some people. So yes, we have to physically distance. Yes, we have to be careful, but damaging people's lives is happening in so many different ways. Actually, Dr. Fauci came out today and said if we don't end the lockdown, it's going to cause permanent damage to the population. So, why is this happening? Why have suicides gone way up? You know, I often say suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary feeling. Yet, when the hopelessness and the helplessness and the feelings of worthlessness go on and on, people lose hope. And when you lose hope, that's actually one of the biggest predictors of completing suicides. And with isolation comes a lack of sunshine, comes boredom, comes you just get overwhelmed by the feeling of loss and negativity. And I wrote in the title, A Blueprint to End Mental Illness. And, you know, those of you that listen know I have a new book, The End of Mental Illness, which is really about reframing the whole discussion about mental illness. I have to tell you, when I became a psychiatrist 40 years ago, I really hated the term mental illness. I thought it was shaming, stigmatizing, and wrong, because these are brain health issues that ultimately steal your mind. And if you go to most psychiatrists, they don't talk at all about your brain. I mean, yes, they'll make some reference to you have a chemical imbalance and I'm going to give you chemicals and rebalance you, but there's actually no evidence that that's what happens. When I started imaging people in 1991, I was horrified that some of the medications I was prescribing, I was taught to prescribe. I was a double board certified psychiatrist in 1989, that they hurt the brain, that they didn't make the brain look better, that they actually made it look worse. And then I started thinking about natural ways to heal the brain. So the blueprint to ending mental illness is see psychiatric problems as brain health issues that steal your mind and then work really hard to have a better brain. Because with a better brain comes a better life. And in the book, I talk about the 4 big circles that help you become who you are. And the 4 big circles is there's a biology to who we are. I mean, it's like the physical function of the cells in your brain, in your heart, in your liver, in your intestines. It's physically who you are. And then optimize that. And in the book, I talk about if you want to keep your brain healthy or rescue it, if it's headed to the dark place, you have to prevent or treat the 11 major risk factors that steal your mind. And we know what they are. And I have a mnemonic called Bright Minds. That's the biological circle. And that's why your diet is so important. Oh, cherries are out. Had cherries today. They were spectacular. No suffering in getting well. There is, excuse me, there is a linear correlation between the number of fruits and vegetables you eat a day and your level of happiness up to 8. So if you can get 8 servings at asparagus for lunch, at a cup of blueberries, at a salad, I think I got about 5 today. So I could actually be happier. So linear correlation between the number of fruits and vegetables you eat a day up to 8. Exercise. I do my meetings in the morning walking, because that way I'm getting exercise while I'm taking care of my folks at work. So we have this big biological circle. And then we have a psychological circle, which is how you think and your development. And we talk about killing the ants. And this is really so important in a pandemic where you're disciplining your mind to help you, not hurt you. And then there's a social circle, which are your current relationships, your current stresses. And then there's the spiritual circle about why you care, what's your connection with God, with the planet, with the past, with the future. In the center of that is your deepest sense of meaning and purpose. So if we're going to end mental illness, we actually have to work in all 4 circles. And so let's take someone who is suicidal. And my experience is there's issues in all 4 of those circles, that they're biological issues. And it could be they had head trauma at some point in the past. And most people don't know that having a concussion or a head injury at some point in the past is a major cause of psychiatric problems that nobody knows about, because most psychiatrists never look at the brain, which I would argue that's insane. There may be a genetic history of depression. It's another biological cause. They may have low thyroid, low testosterone. They may have inflammatory markers. So they're biological underpinnings. I published a big study on suicide showing low activity in the frontal lobes is associated with higher suicidal behavior. So there's a biology to suicide. But there's also a psychology to it, where many people who have suicide attempts are loaded, they're infested with the ants, the automatic negative thoughts, and they don't have the skill to deal with the ants. And then there are social causes. Isolation would clearly be one, or you lost your job, or you don't have hope finding a job. Although my daughter, 16, got a job today. She's so excited. I'm very proud of her. So biological issues, psychological issues, social issues, and spiritual issues. That people who kill themselves, they really lose their way as far as what does their life mean? What is their deepest sense of meaning and purpose? And so understanding people in those four circles helps you treat them. So yes, we want to get your brain right, diet, exercise, supplements, medicine, if needed, optimize those 11 risk factors. We want to get your mind right by teaching you not to believe every stupid thing you think. Your relationships right, just so important. And then really dig into why you think you're on the planet. What's your deepest sense of meaning and purpose? That's the blueprint to end mental illness. I hope this is helpful for you. Over the weekend, I hope to be on with my friend, Dr. Earl Hensland. We're going to talk about aggression and how to get your temper under control. I'll have some other chats for you. Another one I'm thinking of is, how do you know if you have ADD, right? Is it the pandemic, or do you really have ADD that somebody should treat? That's going to be really important as well. The title of my new book is The End of Mental Illness. You can get it at BrainMD, you can get it on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, anywhere great books are sold. Thanks so much.